All right, so before I tell you what I do, I need to tell you what I used to do. The two things are completely connected, and honestly, I think understanding where I came from is going to make everything else I share on this channel make a lot more sense. So stick with me for a few minutes. I promise this is going somewhere. Hey, welcome to my channel. I'm Allie, and this is AV Executive Solutions. If you're new here, this channel is for two kinds of people. So the first is business owners who are drowning in the operational side of their business and need to understand what real executive support actually looks like. The second is people who are ready to build a career or a business as a virtual assistant, specifically at the executive level, and they want a clear, honest, structured path to get there. If you fall into either of those categories, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe because I put out content consistently and I want you to have it. Now, let me tell you my story. So I spent 15 years working in operations. When I say operations, I do not mean answering phones at a front desk or scheduling the occasional lunch. While I did those things, that was not where my skill set lied. I mean being the operational backbone for a running business that had high stakes, high pressure, and things had to be right the first time, every time. We're talking about environments where a missed detail could cost the whole deal, or a miscommunication on logistics could derail the entire project, where the inbox was not just a communication tool, it was a live, constantly moving record of every relationship, every obligation, and every opportunity that the business had. I thrived in that environment and I genuinely loved it. That's the thing. It sounds intense, and it was, but I genuinely loved it. I loved the pace. I loved the problem solving. I loved knowing that my work was the thing that made everything else possible. There's a particular kind of satisfaction that comes from being the person who has everything handled before anyone has to ask. From knowing the calendars so well that you can spot a conflict 3 weeks out before it becomes a crisis. From having the flights booked, the hotels confirmed, the agenda prepared, and the pre-read docs in their inbox the night before without being reminded. That was my everyday, and I got really, really good at it. One time, my boss called me from a meeting and said he needed 3 things in the next 10 minutes. He needed a flight booked for the following morning, a dinner reservation for that evening at a restaurant his client had mentioned once in passing 2 weeks earlier. And he also needed to find his gym shoes because he thought he had left them at the office but was not sure. I booked the flight, I found the restaurant, I tracked down the gym shoes, 12 minutes total. He called me back and just said, "Good," and hung up. I remember sitting there thinking, I did not even flinch. That was just a random normal Tuesday. That's when I started to understand that what I did was not just a job skill, it was something deeper than that. It was a way of thinking, a way of operating, and not everybody has it. So the moment everything shifted for me. For a long time, I did not think of what I did as something I owned. I thought of it as something I did for other people. My skills existed in service of someone else's business, someone else's goals, and someone else's vision. And for a while, that was fine. But then there came a point I started paying attention to something I had been noticing for years without really naming it. I kept seeing business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, service providers, people who had built something real and meaningful, and they were completely and utterly overwhelmed. Not because they were bad at their work, the total opposite actually. They were brilliant at their work, but their business had grown past the point of where one person could manage everything, and they had not made that shift. They were still doing everything themselves. I would hear things like, "I've not taken a lunch in 3 months," or "I was up until midnight trying to clear out my inbox," or "I missed my kid's game last night because I had to handle something that honestly an assistant should have been able to handle, but they could not trust that it would get done right and on time." Every single time I heard something like that, something in me just clicked, because I knew exactly what those things were and exactly what those people needed. I'd been doing it for years. I knew how to fix what they were describing. I knew how to build the systems, manage the communications, create the structure that would give them their time and focus back. I had not put it together yet that I could be the one to do that for them directly on my own terms in my own business. Until one day I did put it together, and once I saw it, I could not unsee it. So when I made the leap, I'll be honest with you, the decision to go out on my own was not a neat, clean, confident moment. It was not a dramatic resignation scene. It was more like a slow accumulation of clarity until the scale finally tipped. I started looking myself and asking myself some questions that I had been avoiding for some time. What would it look like if I took everything I knew and applied it to my own business instead of someone else's? What would it mean to own my work, own my schedule, and own the outcomes? And the more I sat with those questions, the more the answers became obvious. I had the skills, I had the experience, I had 15 years of proof that I could deliver at a high level under pressures. What I did not have yet was the structure around building a business. So I went and learned it. I want to be real with you about this part because I think a lot of people who are thinking about making a similar transition imagine that the people who have done it successfully just woke up one day with total confidence and clarity and went for it. That's not what happened to me, and that's not what happens to most people. There were days I second-guessed everything. Quite honestly, still do. There were moments where the imposter syndrome was genuinely loud. There were times I thought, who am I to charge a client for this? I'm not a certified anything. But here's what I kept coming back to. Results are the credential. 15 years of results, and no client cares about your certification if you are the person who makes their business run better. So I built it. One client at a time, one system at a time, and one referral at a time. And AB Executive Solutions became real. What AB Executive Solutions actually does, so the tagline is structure, support, seamless execution. And I chose those 3 words very deliberately. Structure, because most of the business owners I work with do not have a problem with vision or drive. They have a problem with the foundation underneath their day-to-day. The systems, the workflows, the organizational infrastructure that makes everything else possible, that is what we build. Support, because the work is relational. It's not just a task completion. It's being someone a business owner can genuinely rely on, someone who has context, who understands the business, and can think proactively rather than just reactively. Seamless execution, because the whole point is that things get handled without the business owner having to hold every piece together themselves. When it's working right, it's almost invisible. They do not have to think about it. It just runs. That is what I built. And the clients I have had the privilege of working with, the results have been real. More time, less chaos, clearer focus, and actual growth. So now I've created a VA starter kit and training program. Something else happened as I was building AB Executive Solutions, and this part is important because it connects directly to a lot of the content I make on this channel. I started talking to people who wanted to do what I was doing, people who had been in administrative or support roles for years, sometimes decades, and were watching what I built and thinking I could do that. I have those skills. I just do not know where to start or how to start. I kept having the same conversations over and over. What services do I offer? How do I price myself? How do I find my first client? How do I set up the tools? What does the business actually look like when it's running? Those are answerable questions, every single one of them. And I realized there was a real gap between the skills these people had and the business knowledge they needed to actually launch. So I created my VA Starter Kit. It's a free resource that covers the core foundations, what services to offer, how to price yourself against real market benchmarks, what tools to use, how to build your service menu, and the 5 steps to get your first client. And for people who want to go deeper, I have built the VA training program. That's the full course. It covers everything from positioning to client acquisition to managing multiple clients and building towards the income you actually want and deserve. Both of those resources exist because I believe that these skills you already have are worth building on. You do not have to start from scratch. You just need a clear path, and I want to be that for people. So who is this channel for? Let me bring it back around to you because that's really what this is all about. If you are a business owner who is doing everything yourself and you are starting to feel the ceiling of that, this channel is going to give you a better picture of what real executive support can look like and how to find and hire the right person. If you are someone who has been in administration or operational support and you are ready to take those skills and build something of your own, this channel is going to walk you through exactly how to do that. If you are somewhere in between figuring out your next move, trying to understand what your options are, you're welcome here too. I'm going to be honest on this channel, and I'm going to share what worked, what did not, and I'm going to give you real numbers and strategies, not just inspiration and vibes. I think you deserve more than a highlight reel. I think you deserve actual information that you can do something with. So that's who I am, that's where I came from, and that is why I'm here. If you are just getting started and you want a clear foundation to build from, grab my free VA starter kit in the link below. It is everything you need to go from I think I want to do this to having your first client conversation. If you're ready to go all in, the VA training program is almost open. The link for that is also below to hop on that wait list. And if you have found any of this helpful or any part of my story that has resonated with you, I would genuinely love to hear it in the comments, or you feel free to private message me. Tell me where you're at in your journey. Tell me what you're working on. I read them. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.